Josh, how did the offensive line grade out, in your opinion, Saturday?
Not real well. I mean, that was obvious. I mean, run game. Well, let me qualify it this way. Run game. I thought they actually blocked pretty well. The run statistics are a little deceiving because we had so much lost yardage, and then that's where we get to the pass game. Protections and it goes without saying we got to protect better than we did Saturday night.
What do you see as kind of just over the course of a game, the accumulation of the hits that Ryan is taking?
Well, you don't want your quarterback to get hit that many times. I mean, it's fairly obvious. Do those things have a cumulative effect over time? I think they do. I think that's why people try to hit the quarterback. I mean, that's just what it is. His job is to hang in there, and mentally he's got to play like he hasn't been hit, and we got to protect him better.
After the game, Barry was talking about, in relation to Ryan, just how self-critical he is, and mentioned something along the lines of, now we've got to build him back up and get ready for next week. I guess just what's your, obviously Darren's the point guy on things like that, but what's your involvement in that process? What does that look like in a week like this?
Well, I think it starts number one with giving him a great plan, and getting him confident in the plan going in. That's always a weekly thing with a quarterback, is getting him drilled down into all the little details of the plan. I think some of that in the process of game planning the next opponent takes care of itself. It just kind of happens naturally. But Ryan can't be, when you don't have a day that goes the way that you wanted it to. I mean, there were so many other good things in that game that he did, amazing things he did, other than those 3 plays. And when you have a game like that, you can let the 3 plays skew your vision of what it really was. Now, at the end of the day, those 3 plays, you got to learn to control those and not let those happen. But there's also other people on the field that can help us control those and not let those happen.
Josh, when you mentioned the offensive line play and just how, I guess in the run blocking especially, or the pass blocking, I'm sorry, is this a week where maybe you look to change things up, or you primarily played the same 5 guys for 3 straight games now?
Yeah. We've at this point, every week is competition, in practice. So yes, are we open to having the best 5 players play up front? That's every single week. Whoever we put out there on Saturday, we feel like those are the best 5 players we had to go play the game with.
To have the turnovers you had, and one of them is kind of a batted ball that turns into a fluke play, but kind of some backbreakers. That said, you still have a chance to go make this a 1-score game late. How would you kind of assess Ryan's ability to bounce back after some of those bad throws?
Well, I told our offense going into the game, if you look at fall camp and spring football, and obviously Ryan wasn't here for spring, but if you just take fall camp, we've been a very competitive team during camp. And to me, that's always a sign of a good team, is when one day the offense wins, the next day the defense comes back, they kind of win that day, the next day the offense fights back and wins. And so I told them in this game, there's going to be some bad moments like every game. They're a good team. They're going to make some plays. They're going to hit a big pass play. They're going to maybe get a turnover, whatever it is. And we're prepared for that because we've faced that with our own defense. It's not like we've just, dominated all the way through fall camp and then you get to adversity for the first time you're facing. So I thought what you saw on Saturday was what we've been doing in practice up to this point, which is having some little adversity and then responding to it in a positive way and just kind of putting our head back down and going back to work and going back down the field.
So there's something you saw when on the play that Malachi came in where you thought you could capitalize there with him taking the snap and just kind of a direct run?
Well, we're just looking for opportunities. Obviously, with Malachi, he's a really good runner. It's a great part of his game. And when you get, when you get a guy that's as good as he is running the football, obviously the quarterback runs it, it gives you an extra number. So that's all we were doing.
Do you think he used Devin Mockaby enough on Saturday?
I think there's other opportunities that we could have used Devin. Obviously, if you watch us play, a lot of our plays have an option to run it or pass it. I thought there was a few times we had opportunities to hand off and we didn't. But I think we used him enough. I thought we put ourselves exactly in position to win a game against a team that's I think is a pretty good team. We just didn't finish our red zone drives.
Can you walk us through your version of the double lateral where Ryan had the mental awareness to pick the ball up and run it for a touchdown?
Yeah, obviously that's a play you're trying to get the entire defense to react to the first throw. They called, and I think it's the only one in the game that they called. They called a will linebacker, kind of blitz to the outside of the defensive end into the boundary versus that play, and so it just, as things would have it, as fate would have it, that was like the perfect call for that play. Ryan was really heads up. Beginning with, we shouldn't have thrown the ball back there. We should have just tucked it and ran it. But obviously we were playing to be aggressive and go score. But Ryan was really heads up. He blocked him out, and then he went and got the football. He recognized it was a backwards pass. We did not practice that pass being backwards, but he recognized it was a backwards pass, and he went and got the ball and went and scored.
Actual Tuttle, Coach, looked like breakout game for him. Just talk about his development thus far.
Yeah, just getting better every day at little things. He's obviously physically gifted. He's strong. He can play against press, and he can get off press, and he's doing it better and better every day. And so he's a young guy that's learning the game, but we have a really bright outlook on his future.
When you have a quarterback who's obviously new to what you guys are doing and you're asking a lot of him from a decision-making standpoint, your RPO and read option stuff, how do you kind of accelerate that experience process during the week? Is it film? Is it just practice, just reps?
Yeah, and really, you're going to hope at this point that a lot of those experiences are accelerated, just by reps that you've gotten, that you've banked reps on different looks. Our defense is very multiple. They give you a lot of different looks. And so, banking reps up to this point is what it is. I mean, really, if you look at the 3 interceptions, one was, we got to do, Ryan, the very first one, Ryan put the ball in a good spot, I thought. I think our wide receivers got to do a better job of competing for that ball and coming back to the football and not drifting in the end zone. The second one, when we got the pressure that turned into the pick six, I thought, one, we got to be better in protection. We made a mistake up front. But then two, you got to understand, it's just you're sitting there and it's 2nd and 10, right? You eat it, you're on the 20-yard line, you're on the 26-yard line. At 3rd and 16, sure, but you run it or whatever you do, but you pick up a few more yards, or maybe you go for it, whatever you do on 3rd and 16, and you put points on the board, and then the last one is, he got a little greedy. The safety was just hanging back, and that's a handoff or it's a throw to the field, and he got a little greedy, and we just kind of completed that same ball for a touchdown down there, so it is what it is. Listen, I share in those mistakes just like good players make them. Every time we make a mistake like that, I evaluate myself, and our coaching staff evaluates ourselves. Did we teach them well enough? Did we put them in the right positions to see it? So did we give them enough reps at it to do it right? So, we're all in this thing together. I told them that this morning. We're not pointing the finger at anybody, but I do, the one thing I took out of Saturday's performance, we moved the ball up and down the field. We got to the red zone 6 times. We had 2 touchdowns, a field goal, and we had 3 turnovers. And I thought that's a pretty stout defense. They've got some good personnel over there. Their D-line is, they're good. We got a lot to build on. There's hope for our future, but we're never satisfied, with losing. That's just not the standard we're going to have at Purdue. So we're disappointed, but we know what we can be, and our job now is to go be that by getting better at the details.
Guys, just comment on the Notre Dame defense. We're having some issues right now. Chris Ash is new coordinator. Just what you've seen thus far of at IRC.
Well, they look very similar. Obviously, at the last stop we played them, or the last stop I competed against them the last 3 years. So they look very similar on defense. They're big and strong up front. They move around. They're very aggressive in their movements. Linebackers blitz. Their linebackers are kind of notorious for some of the hardest hitting blitzers through the middle in college college football. They do a really nice job with it. And in the secondary, you know, they are what they've been. They've got a really good corner. They've got some other really good DBs that are good at man coverage, and they're going to challenge you by getting up, you know, in your face and man to man, and force you to get off man coverage to complete the ball and win routes.
Why was Armand Branch such a limited part of the offense on Saturday?
Ahmad?
Yeah.
We felt like EJ, it's just back to one of those things you asked earlier with the offensive line, felt like EJ had been practicing really well, and then Ahmad had a little issue. He got poked in the eye during the game, which held him out for a little bit. He's fine. He came back, but it took him a minute a few series there to get back.
That's why I wasn't sure if it was an injury thing, because he did come back.
Yeah, he did come back, and he was fine after a minute, but it took him a little bit to get he just got poked in the eye, you know.
But EJ was a guy who had some struggles in preseason camp, you know, holding on to the ball, but we also saw him kind of take initiative to stay after and work on some things like that. Just how have you seen him develop over these past months?
Well,
or
he's
so?
developing really well. I really feel like if he and Ahmad are at the top of their game while they're on the field, that we have the ability with those two guys to play against anybody and make plays. So EJ, you know, his issue is just being his, and really it's Ahmad's issue too, and that's really why you're seeing them rotating or battling it out. But to me, both those guys is like, you know, every time you're out there, is it your very best, you know, and that's a standard. And so what we're hoping to do is have two really good Z receivers that are both really fast, that can both make explosive plays, and we can play them. And if they can both play at the highest potential of their ability, we can be really, really